Number one sports talk show, special edition Friday episode, all things sports. Both the Boston Celtics and Florida Panthers janitorial staff seems to have taken the past week off as both teams look to bring out the brooms. Trevor Lawrence gets paid. Aaron Rodgers opts into voluntary OTAs but opts out of mandatory minicamp, and we are back to give you the real in sports. It's great to have you fellas with me today. Wade Julian live from New York City. Me myself live from Atlanta. Big Kev shot it live from South Florida. How is everybody doing, Kev? How you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be back. I'm not sure if it was one or two episodes, but I know I missed at least one, and I was tuned in though, so I was able to watch. But yeah, I missed being on the mic with you boys. So it's good to be back.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. June, how is the weather warming up in New York treating you?
Yeah, it is. It's good. Summertime is getting here. I think we got a week still till the official summer solstice. But I saw 92 degrees next Thursday. I'm kind of scared. I'm not gonna lie. We've been waking up to late 50s and early 60s still, so I'm appreciative of that. But ain't nobody complaining. Everything's good on my end. How you doing?
I can't complain, man. I can't complain. I'm here. It's warming up in Atlanta. It's like 92 right now. Clear skies. It's hot. You're sweating when you're walking around now. It's not cold no more.
Oh
This
yeah.
is an interesting transition for me, but we
Oh
gonna get
yeah.
through it. We gonna get through it. Let's get right into it because we have a lot to get into. There has been recent news coming out of the NBA. Caitlin Clark was not chosen for the Women's FIBA USA women's basketball team. Chairman of the committee citing kind of controversy between her playing time and her fans being upset that she may or may not get the PT because she's a rookie and there's definitely a solid 12 better players than her in the WNBA. June, I'll kick it over to you first. Was Caitlin Clark snubbed out of a women's FIBA basketball selection?
I'm gonna go with yes. I'm
Ooh,
gonna I'm
okay.
gonna say she was. And you know, I think I want to start off with the team looks phenomenal. I think they got the right group of girls and or women, I should say. However, the attention that Caitlin Clark gets and has brought, it hasn't amounted to her success. Um, but I think it would have done such a great number for women's national basketball globally in America or for America representing us. Um, Her name has been the hottest topic since beginning of the year and even dating back to last year. Now I'll bring it back down to earth a little bit because I know I sound a little crazy. Going back to my first point, as far as the roster being constructed as it is, I think there's another girl that you can sub. You can take a guard off that team and put a Kumbawale. You know what I'm saying? On this basketball team, and I'd be happy if she was there. And if Clayton Clark didn't get it, I'd still understand. But in the perspective that I have on it, again, just trying to further grow the game and bring attention to women's basketball, especially here in America. What Caitlin Clark and her name has done has been phenomenal. It's been, something we've never seen as far as hype. Um, so yeah, I think Caitlin Clark definitely deserved a roster spot, right? I don't and that's solely based on her name and the attention that she brings. As far as her talent, she is uber talented, but I understand that there's a line in front of her, and the women they have selected so far are 100% deserving of the spot they got. What you think, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as saying she's snubbed. I think the the point people are trying to make is to uh kind of bring, or the point people are trying to make about her not being left off the team is, like Julian said, with the attention that it would bring. A lot of people who don't watch WNBA or women's basketball, who are now watching solely for Caitlin Clark might tune into that game. But I think honestly, I think a lot of those people, I wouldn't say all, but I think a lot of those people are still going to tune in, if not for the fact that they're going to maybe see them want to see them lose to say, I told you so. Caitlin Clark should have been on the team. Um, and Stephen A. Smith made the point like Christian Leitner was on the dream team. You know what I mean? Like there's been occurrences where you have these high profile names who aren't necessarily the most talented, one of the most talented 12 people that you bring with you, but Christian Leitner was Christian Leitner in 1992, and he won national championship with Duke, and made the big turnaround shot off the in the Final Four. So he's a big name, and they brought him on into the team, and one of if not the most dominant teams in Olympic basketball history. And he didn't get many minutes, and I think that's the point that I know Stephen A. Smith made as well, was the point on Christian Leitner. But yeah, I mean, Arike, a lot of people have said her as well. She's not an official. In the women's basketball game, it seems like people care less about efficiency for whatever reason. Like she's not an efficient scorer, so I can see, as talented as she is, like she's on a bad team and she has to do a lot, but
Yeah.
she's not. She hasn't been efficient, and so I can see why she may have been left off the team for somebody else. We've seen Carmelo Anthony make the team late in his career when he's not Carmelo Anthony of old, but he brings that veteran experience like Diana Taurasi is going to bring for this team. So can't say that like I'm mad at the selection one way or the other. Uh, I do think it is a story. Obviously, even the people saying Enrique should have been put on the team and she was snubbed, not going to be talked about as much if Caitlin Clark is not involved in the first place. So that goes back to the point of people saying she should be on the team just for the notoriety that she would bring.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it'll grow the sport to have her there, and like you were saying, Kev, it'll bring a little more, not necessarily awareness, but some more eyes to the sport, some more eyes to the women's side of the basketball world anyway. But I don't think she was snubbed, and for the record, she's been grade A character as far as answering the questions through through the media, letting them know, look, I'm focused on basketball, all the naysaying, all the hoopla. I'm not focused on it. It's not gonna help me. She said she would have been grateful to get selected, but hey, it gives her something to look forward to, in 4 years when it comes back around. I have no doubt in my mind that she will be there in 4 years. I don't know how good it would have been for her to transition into that after literally having like 3 weeks off after her college career and becoming a pro and having the learning curve that she's having right now, and then to have an extra learning curve, kind of an extra bone thrown in there, and having to compete in the, in and represent the USA in the Olympics and in FIBA. I don't think she was snubbed. I think the team will be all right without her. It definitely would have been a good look, but I mean, ah, 15.6 assists, and it's very polar. She'll score 7 points, she'll score 30, she'll score three with 30 minutes. That three was against the Liberty. But I mean, it's a small sample size, and the sample size isn't consistent enough, in my opinion. I do not think she was snubbed. Kev, you got some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you just said it. Like she took the 3 weeks off. I'm sure she wasn't off. She was, I'm sure, training for the upcoming season that's right around the corner after women's college basketball season ends. But she could probably use the extra 2.5, 3 weeks off. So I think that we probably see an uptick in her game and her efficiency and just her overall everything once they do come back from that Olympic break, because she'll have had some time to just kind of relax and kind of recalibrate.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. June, you got any closing thoughts before we move on?
Caitlin Clark was snubbed. I'm kidding.
Oh man, let's kick it over to the other side, to the men's side, where we had a bomb dropped on us as far as Dan Hurley being considered top front runner for the Lakers head coaching position, and my man's turned it down. He said, "Nah, I'm good." He took the interview. He went out to LA. He spoke to everybody, and at the end of the day, the I believe 70 million over 6 years, I think 11 point something million a year, being about I think like the 10th highest. It was like two handfuls highest paid head coach coming off a back-to-back national championship in college. He turns down the job. Him being Dan Hurley. Kev, how bad of a look is this for the Lakers?
I don't think it's a bad look. I think the fact that Dan Hurley was even intrigued with going to the Lakers after winning back-to-back national championships at UConn, and being on the verge of a massive extension, I think is a good look. More than the Lakers are the Lakers. Like, that brand is always going. It's the Cowboys of football. It's the Yankees of baseball. The brand is the brand, and it's never going to change, regardless of who's coaching, how bad they are. Everybody's talking about the Lakers. They're always going to be talked about. So, um, if you're a head coach, if you're a basketball head coach, and the Lakers call, I think it's one of those jobs that you have to listen. If the Hornets called, he's not taking that meeting. He's got no interest in the Hornets job. He never would have had interest, I can assure you. The Lakers is different. That's a very uh, prestigious job, regardless of if they're good or bad. Because if they're bad, it's who's going to turn this franchise around and bring them back to the glory days. If they're good, it's who's going to keep this franchise afloat. So the Lakers' job is always going to be one of the most accommodate or most glorified jobs in the league, regardless of where they are. So, yeah, if Dan Hurley turned down a meeting with them, then it's like, okay, what? Like, he doesn't even want to talk to them. That's kind of crazy. But him taking a meeting and taking the weekend to consider it, uh, I think says something. But I've told you guys who's going to be the coach since before anyone else. So Woj, Shams, they can battle each other on who's right. I had it first. So
June, how do you feel about this? After all the hoopla, after all of the going back and forth, JJ is being considered. No, out of nowhere, it's actually Dan Hurley, and he's always been the front runner. To now Dan
Right.
Hurley turning down the job, and now, of course, them saying, "Hey, look, we're going to interview JJ this weekend." How much of a roller coaster? How bad of a look do you think this is for the Lakers?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I have to agree with Kev. I don't want to say it's a bad look. Um, they put Dan Hurley in between a rock and a hard place. Like, to make this decision, I'm sure it took weeks. I'm sure it was a lot of thought. Um, but ultimately, he has an opportunity to continue making history and building on a legacy that he's created. And you know, coaching the Lakers, like Kev said, it's the brand, and you put that on your resume, and you got something. But uh, right now, it's about the current with what his situation is. It's about having an opportunity to go and three-peat. It's about being the first coach to do that since Dan Wooden. It's about being one of the all-time greatest college basketball coaches ever. And that's all on the line here for Dan Hurley, where he could have, I won't say throw it all away, because everything he did is still documented, and we still respect what he has done so far at UConn, whether he was to have coached his last game there or not. But you go to the Lakers and it could be Pat Riley or it can be Darvin Ham. And so I don't know that
or it
I,
could
I
be
won't.
Derek Fisher.
Hey man, that's been that head coaching position has been a revolving door for the last 15 years. Continue, June. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. And so, obviously having a guy like LeBron James in your locker room and in your corner, there was reports that, Dan Hurley received some text messages from LeBron, um, letting him know that, he's got his back, he's got his support. So that's got to be, you imagine, comforting and appealing, because if he were to accept the job, it wouldn't have been on the Frank Vogel or the Darvin Ham terms. This would have been more so like, listen, you're the guy in our locker room. You're the guy we want to hear from. You're the guy we're going to kind of cater around, um, in my opinion. So it was there. But I just think what he has, like I said, what he has at UConn is too special to just give up. And when we were talking about, candidacy and fit, I'm just like, man, it's a good fit for Hurley, of course. Like, this guy's a great coach. He knows basketball. There's some guys on that team that's a playoff team. But just thinking about how storybook, he's got it at UConn right now. This has got to be the highest point of his career. And how do you turn down, uh and a chance at three-peating? Like, you got your kids. It's a big decision. I don't think that he ultimately wanted to do that. So I'm glad that it seems that he's in a position, because he had the choice, so he's in a position to be where his heart is, and where he wants to be, as opposed to maybe taking the LA job, and LA kind of just doing numbers on him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and he's expressed in the past interest of potentially wanting to coach in the NBA if it makes sense, if the offer's right, if it feels right, if it's
Offer was right.
I, that's where I don't know. I feel like and I get him he would be the sixth highest paid coach in the league with the offer if he would have accepted it, right behind Monty Williams from Detroit, um, who's getting paid $13 million a year right now coaching the Detroit Pistons. I I think if you're the Lakers in the position that you're in, where your head coaching role, like I just mentioned, has been a revolving door for the last 10, 12, 15 years at this point. If you're gonna go all in on a back-to-back NCAA champion, this feels like when the Cowboys said they were going all in this offseason, and we haven't really heard from them. Like, if you're gonna offer a back-to-back national champion a head coaching position, you got to at least make him top four. I'm not saying he needs to earn more than Tyronn Lue, because Tyronn Lue is, decorated head coach, NBA champion, but at least give him 13 and a half. Put him above Monty Williams. Give him something to really think about. I just don't think that the number was right, because I think that he's expressed interest in coaching in the NBA. He says he doesn't want to coach in college basketball anywhere outside of UConn, but he is open to coaching in the NBA. And with that knowledge and the backing that LeBron had for him, I think this is a horrible look for the Lakers. I think that they didn't do justice, and now it's like they started with a no, and now it's like, oh yeah, JJ Redick, we're gonna interview you now. After all that, we definitely gonna interview now. I don't think this is a good look for the Lakers personally. Kev.
So yeah, so it's a lot to unpack, but it's something that I've been thinking about since I heard it, because June said it about the reports of LeBron texting him. It happened. It came from from Dan Hurley himself. I was listening to when he was on Cowherd, and he said he was very specific with his wording, and it made me think for a second, because he said that LeBron told him if he would still be with the Lakers, that he would have his support as the head coach. And so for the offer to be 70 over 6 and be that much money, does Hurley kind of have a notion from LeBron, hey, I don't know for sure that I'm going to be back? And for Hurley, that was just too much of a toss up for him to say, I don't want to walk into such a shitty situation if LeBron does leave.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to watch with with the Redick interview and how that goes. Because if Redick ends up not being the coach, then I think something is going on there where these coaches are not getting much from LeBron much of a assurance that he will be
Right.
Laker next season.
And
So
he's got
just
a $51 million option. So
yeah, exactly. So and Rich Paul has said the same thing about him currently being a free agent, which he's not. Still has to opt out, so or opt in. So it's just interesting things going on the LeBron side of things.
I don't know, man, but I guess we'll see how it unfolds. JJ Redick will be interviewing this weekend. Um, I know that him and LeBron have that tight, close knit relationship. I don't know how it's gonna look when he draws up a play and LeBron changes it in the huddle. It's. I think Dan Hurley might be able to handle that. Redick, not so sure. You know who did get the bag? Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence gets the Biz Ag $275 million contract, $142 million guaranteed when he puts his name on that contract, $55 million a year. June, what does this do for these free agents that are still looking for an extension or a contract?
Well, shit. I mean, it sets a fucking tone. I'll tell you that. Like you said, Tua's still waiting, and it's pretty interesting to see. He's at the top with Joe Burrow right there at that $55 million a year. Burrow is going to make 146.5 guaranteed, as opposed to 100, or sorry, at signing. As opposed to 142, and he's also going to make 219 guaranteed as opposed to 200. But they're both at that 275, and it's funny because Deshaun Watson, we thought his deal was like the oh my god, broke the bank, break the record, because we saw Lamar Jackson go and get 260 over 5 years at 52 million, and that's second highest. I mean, obviously, when we're talking guaranteed money, he's fourth because Deshaun Watson that was the issue. Deshaun Watson got the whole shit guaranteed, which is crazy. And nobody is gonna see over $215 guaranteed at signing. Um, Whatever, the Browns, kind of made their bed there, but I think it's deserved. I wanted to say well deserved. I can't say well deserved. I do think it is deserved though. As far as the nature of the business and what Trevor Lawrence brings to his team. I don't have his career stats pulled up in front of me. I know that he's thrown a lot of interceptions and turned the ball over a ton. He's also very young, and he's also brought this Jaguars team as far as they've gotten, as for as long as I can remember. Um, when you have a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who you drafted number one overall, who you know is 6'6", can throw the ball to any part of the field, and also stays healthy for the most part. I don't see Trevor Lawrence going down with key injuries and things like that. So he has a promising future. It's deserved. However, what I think of is when it's time to pay everybody else, right? And that's kind of the issue with all this contract stuff. When it's time to pay everybody else, nobody on this top 10 list, and the top 10 list, by the way, we're going Watson, Burrow, Lawrence, Lamar, Herbert, Goff, Hurts, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Prescott, Cousins, with the exception of Dak Prescott going into his new contract coming up, because he signed through this year at 160 million, 95 guaranteed. So he's due some big bucks here coming up now. I want to see who's going to be the guy to be the new age Tom Brady. And I don't think it's going to be anybody, to be honest, which I'm not mad at, but it's tough to build a team in football. It's tough to have a well-rounded offense, well-rounded defense with offensive line protection, and guys who can make plays for your quarterback, who also demand the big bucks. We're seeing receivers get those checks nowadays. General managers got to be scratching their head if they got a franchise quarterback. I mean, it's one of the best problems to have. Like, if you ask me, hey, you got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but the problem with that is, like, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to divide the money. And that's for them to figure out. It's not for me, but it is something that I'm interested to see with this Jacksonville team now. So shout out to Trevor Lawrence getting that bag at 275. And as a Colts fan, yeah, like, less money for everybody else. Great.
Kev, well-deserved contract, and June mentioned Tua in Miami. How much harder does this contract make Miami's front office job?
Boy, the longer they wait. The Jared Goff contract came in. We're like, oh, that number's going up. Trevor Lawrence contract coming. Like, oh, that number's going up. If I'm Tua's agent at this point, I'm like, let's wait till right before the deadline,
Right.
because just see how many more of these deals we can get
See if
in.
Dak Prescott gets signed for real.
You got Tua. You just extended Waddle. You got to extend Tua. You're probably gonna have to do something with Tyreek now that Justin Jefferson got paid and reset the market. Tyreek's probably gonna want something. He's already said as much. So As far as the Dolphins go, starting to look a little dicey. But for Trevor
Says the
Lawrence,
Jets fan.
hey man, we good over here. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on over there. But as far as Trevor Lawrence goes, yeah, it's like he's got so much talent and at a position where I think it's hard to find guys who are that talented. Like they don't, you can go draft somebody, it's never a sure thing that they're gonna hit. So when you've got a guy who's got that much talent and yeah, he makes mistakes. So did Josh Allen. You see what he's done with the Bills. Um,
or what he
Josh
hasn't done.
Allen, yeah, but you got to get there to play for it. So and he at least gets them to the playoffs every year, and he keeps them competitive. And that's half of it is just keeping your team in and being able to make plays to keep your team in football games, and hoping you get a shot at the end. And we've seen him do it on a big stage. Julian, I know, is not a Jaguars fan since he's a Colts fan, but he did have the Blake Bortles erasure there. I'm sure that he forgets about the Blake Bortles days, but when he said that he's gotten them as far as any.
That's true. And to be fair, Blake Bortles did get him to the AFC Championship, and unfortunately lost to Pittsburgh that year. But god damn, that defense really did that. And so
That was a great.
I don't
defense.
even know that the Jaguars had an offense that year. But go on.
No, yeah, that was it. When you said that, I thought it was funny. I was like, wow, he really hates the Jaguars.
I totally forgot about that. I'm not gonna lie. I totally forgot about that. That was some bad offense. And that's how good. Damn, yo, you really just put that into perspective, because that's how good that defense was that year for them to have gone so far.
I mean, it's not on that level, but the back-to-back Jets AFC Championship teams, it was similar but Sanchez really elevated his game in the playoffs those years.
Yeah. Sanchez was formidable. Blake Bortles, UCF's finest.
UCF's
I
finest
did.
is crazy.
While we're on football, real quick, I can make Julian feel old for a second. T.Y. Hilton's son has committed to Wisconsin. So
Facts, bro. I saw that today. I'm like, damn, this is the little kid that was catching fucking passes, and like TY's being a cheerleader for him. Like, nah, that's crazy, man. It's so wholesome seeing, our because we watched Brandon Rice, Jerry Rice's son. We are watching Shador Sanders in college right now. There was another NFL player's son that got drafted this year. I can't remember, but that's like, maybe not, I would say like our parents' generation. Yeah, that's like our parents' generation.
yeah,
And so now, like, T.Y. Hilton, whose name is Eugene, T.Y. Hilton's son, that's literally our generation, and so
Facts.
he's going to be a 3-4 year kid, and I'm excited to see what he does in his career.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to kick it over to the chat real quick. A couple people in there. Shout out to Martin Dunn. Brill, just to go back quickly to the Caitlin Clark controversy, says that she 100% does not deserve the spot. The reports that it was mainly to avoid criticism from her fans when she doesn't play was some bullshit, though. Should be merit-based only. Your cousin Lou in the chat. Red Sox and Yankees hats on the stream today. Fire, but he does say, fuck Boston. I didn't say it. Somebody else did.
Yeah, you don't got the balls to say it. Fuck the Yankees. How about that? How about that?
First place. That game has already. Yeah, that game already has. First pitch did go underway already. Yankees were minus 145 before first pitch in Fenway. Let's have a blast. We'll kick it over to the NHL. Like I was saying, Los Gatos, the Panthers, up 3-0 on the Edmonton Oilers. Shout out to the Panthers. It's looking like sunrise. We ain't never seen a parade like this is about to happen before, you heard? And I'm just going to speak 10 to existence right now. But before we, start giving, the Panthers their kudos and all their props, on the other side of that, the best player in the league, Connor McDavid, three-time MVP, is now being compared to the 2011 LeBron, where you got a bunch of MVPs, but you don't got a ring. What does this do to McDavid's legacy if the Cats indeed will when they close out this series, June?
I mean, we're not gonna disrespect LeBron like that. First of all, second of all, like Connor McDavid. The thing about like as great as he is, I will say having scored 0 goals is a testament to how good of a goalie Sergei Bobrovsky is. Honestly, it doesn't say so much more than that, but if it says a little bit more, it's hey, he ain't show up. He ain't show up because we called him McJesus, right? We've given him and everybody else has given him the best player in hockey, the Mike Trout, the LeBron, like whatever you want to compare. We have not seen that guy show up in these finals. And
Facts.
so we could call him Luka Doncic, to be honest. If you want to if you want to disrespect anybody, we could disrespect Luka Doncic because that's somebody who hasn't showed up in the fourth quarter. That's somebody who hasn't put the team on his back. That's somebody who hasn't done what we thought he would do in these finals. And so, yes, LeBron in 2000. And I'm sorry, I'm just stuck on this LeBron thing. But yes, LeBron, had some fuck ups in the fourth quarter there. I do want to give leeway to the fact that it was the first time on that team playing with two other stars, and it was just it was a lot. It was a lot. But Kev, chill. Kev's like, we're not excusing that. I'm going to excuse it for the context of this conversation. However, Luka Doncic's been on the Mavericks, right? Obviously, Kyrie comes over last year. They've since gelled. Connor McDavid's been on this Oilers team for the last few years. Knows them like the back of his hand. You tell me, what is it? Because the only argument I have to defend Connor McDavid in this finals and for his ghost-like appearance is that Sergei Bobrovsky is an amazing. He's the best goalie in hockey. And if you're going against the best goalie in hockey, it's going to be tough to score. They've only scored, well, up until game 3 yesterday, they only scored 1 goal. And, they put up 3 yesterday, which was kind of scary, but what are we at? 7-11. We're at a 11-4 goal differential. Like, but yeah, McDavid. I'm not gonna call him McJesus anymore. We can call him.
Facts.
We can call him. Who was the martyr? Who was the? Who do they hate in the Bible? McLucifer.
I'm had to call him McJudas.
That's the name I was looking for. But go off, Kev.
I don't think he's been all that bad, to be honest. I think he's pushed pace. I think it's like you said, like Bob's been really good in the net. McDavid had 2 assists yesterday as well. So I think Draisaitl's been more of a
Cheap shotter. Yeah.
well, and a disappointment just overall. Like his game has not been, he hasn't made any impact at all over the first 3 games. So uh I think if anything, him and Evander Kane being hurt also doesn't help them. So but to me, McDavid, like you can tell how good he is when like you can see he's the best player on the ice. Like that to me has not gone away. Like to me, he's like when he's got the puck, it's you're worried for something to happen because he just looks like he's so fast. First of all, that's great. Like the way he can move on skates is crazy because I could barely take 2 like steps without falling on skates. So um yeah, the way he moves is ridiculous. And so every time he's had the puck, you watch him and it's like how fast he moves. There was one play where he's just going up the boards and it was crazy because it looked like he was just going by everybody and everybody was just trying to catch up to him and nobody could. And he gets to Bob and Bob makes a great save. Like Bob's been incredible all series except for that third period yesterday where he had 2. They were just trying to pepper him with shots and they got 2 by him. But yeah, I don't think he's been terrible. obviously people are gonna want to, he's the best player on the team.
So people want him to live up to the standard of the best player in hockey, and they want him to score goals, and they want him to drive his team to a win in the Stanley Cup Finals. And has he done that? He hasn't. So 2 assists yesterday. It's nice. You see the speed. It's beautiful. He's night and day better than everybody else, but he's not making game-winning plays, and he's not doing it on a consistent basis. And he hasn't gotten his team a win. So when we're talking about the best player by far, not
So,
this series.
if you're going to compare him to a version of LeBron, and I don't think this is even correct because he's been in the league for
Oh
much longer.
07.
Yes, yes.
This is not Cavs versus the Spurs.
It's not, but he just ran into a team that's been the best, one of the best teams,
So
probably
so
the best team in hockey all
so
season.
20. Nah, I mean, my thing about 07 LeBron and like 17, 18 LeBron is that he put up his valiant effort, and we can see that he is the guy. In 2011, which is why EP probably I hate
It's
this.
after 3 MVPs,
I hate
it's a
this.
3
I
MVP
hate
with
this.
no ring talk.
I'm going back on my word, but he didn't show up. There were moments where he just didn't show up. And
Game
so
point.
again, in his
Game
defense,
points.
it was his first year with Miami. But I get what you're saying about McDavid. And yes, he still does, do a lot of things great. You can still tell, but the fact of the matter to me is that Edmonton is down 0-3 and they're on the verge of getting swept. And I know you're not defending Edmonton or Connor McDavid to that extent, Kev. That's not my argument. But when we talk about how elite he is, he's hasn't been the same since the Western Conference Finals or even the semis. And so I think that's just a big credit to guys like Barkov, guys like Chuck, you know what I'm saying? Guys like Bobrovsky. And you got to give credit to the Panthers as a whole, just putting it on them boys.
It's like that. I think it was before game 2. That video of the kid in the concourse where we're stronger. That's
They
it's
got to
true.
get bro
They're
on
just,
ice.
yeah, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're quicker. They're
Yeah.
just the better team, and they've been that way all season. And finally, it's clicked all the way through for them.
Yeah, I'm afraid Rangers Panthers was our final.
Listen, the only reason the Rangers didn't get swept is because they have the best goalie in hockey. Igor,
Shesterkin is
yeah.
I respect it. But he's not better than Bob now.
Ah, vamos, gatos, up.
Build a wall, build a wall, Bob. Let's go.
By the way, because I have to clarify because he thought this
he
was
does
a Red
the
Sox
Trump,
hat.
by the
It
way.
is a
after I say
Panthers
build
hat.
the wall.
This is a Panthers hat, just so everybody watching knows, because he thought it was a Red Sox hat. So I had to.
Yeah, I was very upset.
And this is a Red Sox hat.
Look, even I didn't even do this. This is even making a Panthers logo right here.
Let's go.
That's crazy.
Let's go, Cats. Up 3-0, looking to close out. June.
I did want to take a moment just to shout all the pops, all the dads, all the fathers. It is Father's Day weekend. I want to say, special shout out to y'all who do put in the work, who are there and show up every single day for your family. Shout out to y'all. I imagine it's no easy feat. I just want to spread that love. Wish you all a happy Father's Day. If you're a father and you listen to the podcast, thank you. If you're a father and you're a part of the podcast, Kev, thank you. Just all in all, happy Father's Day. Much love and respect to y'all.
Absolutely. Panthers up 3-0. Third time.
Yes, sir.
Like it's going to be the charm.
Hey, EP, I hate to cut you off, bro, but I will say the Celtics, we're going to talk about them in a sec. They got this shit, right? 100%. The Panthers, I'm not going to lie, I'm at 90% sure we're going to win. I did see the blemish that there is one team that came back from down 3-0. I've never seen it in the finals. It's never happened. It never will happen. But somebody did do it in NHL, so I'm not entirely secure in this I want to win game 4 just to wrap it all up. That's all.
Hey, hopefully we wrap it up. I mean, shout out to Sal, who's also who's also a father. So shout out to you. He was saying, Panthers want to win it at home. So, we might drop this fourth game, but I say fuck that.
Panthers don't want to win it at home. They want to win it the first opportunity they get.
Third time would be the charm. This is our third time in the finals. First time didn't go so well against Colorado. Last year against the best team in the league in Vegas, we met our match at that point. This year, though, this year,
It
you
just
and
feels
I
like
know.
it feels like the year.
You and
Like
I know.
they exercised the Tampa Bay Demons. They
Yeah,
beat the Bruins. They
yeah.
beat the Rangers. Like it just feels like this is the year. Like everything has aligned for them to win the cup.
Hey man, the Heat lost back to back, in the finals and then in the first round. It's been a tough while for us. Panthers are holding it down. Broward County, we're getting a Stanley Cup final, and I'm
Big
super
B's.
happy to be from Broward County on a moment like this.
Big B's. I will be in South Florida next week for my
Got the
30th
got the
birthday.
leather.
And what do we win? If I gotta extend my vacation because of a parade, guess what? I'm sick. All right, and I ain't gonna be. What Magic Johnson say? I'm not gonna be
I am not
there.
gonna be there. Oh
I'm not
God.
gonna be there. You know who else hasn't been there? Where the hell is Dallas? Boston Celtics up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. Kev, what did Dallas do well against Minnesota that they are unable to do against Boston?
Wasn't expecting that segue. That was a good one. I think what Dallas has not been able to do against Boston is have Rudy Gobert on the floor first and foremost. Uh, that was just the matchup. Like that was the matchup they were able to take advantage of with their guards, and they don't have like Drew Holiday, Derek White. They're gonna play their position on defense. If you get by them, you got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They're gonna hold down their position on defense, and then you get by them, you got a long Porzingis pause, or you got Horford, big body Horford pause waiting at the rim for you. So, uh, I mean, it's they play great team defense, and they've been the best team in the league all year. Um, I think I'm gonna be sick talking about the Celtics like this, but this is what they've done, and Eric Spoelstra said it like when they lost to them in the playoffs. Like I'm not gonna watch a single minute of their games, but
No.
I have a feeling they're gonna do this to a few other teams also. So, and they did. They've done it in second round. They did it to Cleveland. They did it to Indiana, uh, and now they're doing it to Dallas. And I think what makes this Boston team different than Boston of the years past. Last year's Celtics team loses that game yesterday. Last year's Celtics team probably loses at least two of those games against Indiana. So they've been able to, when the going gets tough, to find somebody to get a bucket. Drew Holiday brings a sense, and this is why I put this in the chat. Like Drew Holiday just brings a sense of like when you need something done, Drew Holiday is gonna go get it done for you. If you need a shot hit, Drew Holiday is there. If you need a play made, Drew Holiday is gonna make it. If you need to stop on defense, Drew Holiday is gonna go get it. So I think Drew Holiday took that Jimmy Butler situation last year to heart, and he looks like he just came back this postseason with like a mission on a mission of I'm not letting anybody punk me this season, and they're a game away from winning the championship. So
There was a lot of talk about Kristaps not being able to move laterally, and it didn't even matter when he was out in this last game. The Celtics are 10-1 this postseason without Kristaps in the lineup. It's not really a factor. I do think that the matchup, like you were saying, Kev, is a key role. They are attacking Luka right now. Luka has a 67% blow by average in these NBA, the highest blow by average percentage in NBA Finals history. Obviously, we've all seen the Twitter videos of him, playing defense, and then the offensive player kind of just moseying right around him just kind of giving the lane up type of thing. It's very alarming. How big of, I don't even want to say factor, like whatever the opposite word of factor might be, how much of a non-factor is Luka, and how big and how big is the effect that it's having on Dallas in these finals, June?
Yeah, I mean defensively it's bad. Um Boston, we knew it was like the hype was the Luka Doncic Kyrie versus the Jaylen Brown Jason Tatum. And the difference is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can play defense, right? And they like to buckle down. They like to, guard the best perimeter scorers. Luka doesn't play. He doesn't like to play defense, and he can't play defense. And your coach called you out on the biggest stage of your career, saying that that's a hump you're gonna have to get over because they're gonna attack you, and they are attacking you right now. 60 plus blow by percentage is disgusting. And what bothers me is that it's like an effort thing more so than a skill thing. I don't
Thousand
think he's
percent.
skilled enough to guard these guys, even if he tried. He can get better at that though, but he doesn't even look like he cares. And so for you to be at the biggest stage of your professional career and you're not giving 100% of your effort, and then Kev just talked about a guy like Drew Holiday who is an all-star, who is an all NBA defender, all defense first team defender type of guy, giving his all, who can be a number 1 or 2 option on a lot of NBA teams starting right now, but chose to be a number 4 or 5 option on the Celtics team because of his selflessness. It just speaks volumes to the type of perspectives that different guys in the league have. And I think Luka Doncic is just going to have to grow up from this. Brian Windhorst kind of fucking ripped him a new one on ESPN after the game. And when he said, like, at the end of that was like, somebody's going to have to tell him because nobody in his life ever has, or it's never gotten to him. And it sounds harsh, whether true or false. It's true that it hasn't gotten around to him. And whether they've told him or not is, I don't know. But yeah, Luka Doncic, we're seeing him flop on 3-pointers. We're seeing him cry to the bench when he's, getting clear foul. He had like 3 fouls in 5 minutes in the fourth quarter yesterday that really costed them the game, because I think if Luka Doncic is on the floor for the final 3 minutes of that game, Dallas probably wins. The momentum was there. Boston was hitting tough shots and they were keeping that lead, but you never know with a guy like Luka and Kyrie on the floor. And so to not even give yourself the chance at home, it's embarrassing. And it sucks that it has to be this way. I want to go back to a point Kev said, where he said this Celtics team probably wouldn't have won that game last night. And they might not have been in game 1 or made it as big of a blowout last year. The difference in this team than last year's team is that they have Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, and they went out and addressed key things that they needed to. And I hate to bring up the Miami Heat in a point where we have no part of this conversation, but it just goes to show, when a competent front office goes out, finds the guys for their team, willing to spend the money, willing to, put their pride aside and stop saying that we have enough, and actually going and getting guys that can help the roster and trading pieces. I mean, the Marcus Smart trade was amazing. They traded Smart, and I think they got KP and 2 firsts or something like that. Like, so I think a lot of the difference between last year's Boston team and this year's Boston team is not just they got better, they're shooting the ball at a better clip. No, it's they went out and got 2 great players that start. You know what I'm saying? And it starts there. So that was one thing I want to say. And then also, like, Boston shoots the fucking 3. Like, they don't get scared of shooting a 3. And when they start making it, they're volume streaky shooters. Like, they will hit all game. If they start hitting from that first quarter, it's over. Derek White was playing pretty bad, a couple nights ago, and he goes and hits 2 clutch 3-pointers that you're just like, horrible timing if you're a Mavs fan. You know what I'm saying? But it's what they do, and they're shooting way more threes than the Mavericks are. They're making way more threes, and you're gonna outscore your opponent if you're hitting that shot. So I mean, you got to credit to them. Credit to Jaylen Brown also for going out. Everybody was talking shit about no left hand. He goes and gets a $300 million bag. Everybody's questioning why he's getting that $300 million bag, because he doesn't even have 2 hands to dribble, and now he's about to win a finals and a finals MVP off that. I mean, we could talk bullshit or we could just say what's going on.
Or we could give them the real in sports. You heard?
And I'm not a Celtics fan by any measure, but I gotta show respect when it's due.
And you mentioned Luka fouling out and how that impacted the game. Like, Boston, when they play team basketball, you can't. They shoot the ball that well. Like, there's not really much you can do to stop them.
Yeah.
When Luka was in the game in that fourth quarter, The reason Dallas got it from 21 down to 3 is because they were going at Luca. And the shots in that ISO game started to not drop. And Dallas was able to start hitting shots on the other end. Luca fouled out, and that ball started to move again because you can't just attack Luca anymore.
Yeah,
Now you gotta play team basketball again.
yeah,
So that not only helped Boston by Luca being off the floor on offense, but on defensive side, it made Boston get back to playing team basketball,
yeah,
and that ultimately they started hitting shots again.
yeah. And look, bro, I've said it since you could say when the playoffs started or a little after the All Star break. Boston is a 64 win team, and it's not for no reason. Like it's not a fluke. Fuck the coach, but I mean, this team when they are on, and they're tough to beat. I did have one more thing I wanted to say on this. I'll get back to that if I remember, but I lost it.
Yeah, Luca fouling out like that down 3, totally unacceptable. His complaining, totally unacceptable. I know that he walked some of those takes back and apologized after speaking to.
Nobody cares, man.
Nobody cares, and the only way that we're gonna forget about this is if he makes it back and he takes care of business and he handles business. But this is gonna be, what we talk about, what Luca is known for, and I
Yeah,
and I get that we have to somewhat acknowledge the first 3 rounds and him being the reason that they are in this position
of course. But
to
there's no
talk.
excuse to get swept by the Celtics. There's no excuse. As a Western Conference finalist who had beat OKC, who had beat Minnesota, and who had beat first
Clippers, the
round
Clippers.
matchup the Clippers. I mean, they own the Clippers, but unacceptable. This is
It's
bro,
also
you played
a
some of the
Clippers, a Kawhi-less Clippers as well. Don't forget that.
fair, but you've played two of the best teams in the Western Conference finals, and it's not about losing to the Celtics. It's about in the fashion you lose to them, getting blown out in game one, not even fucking
Complaining.
prepared for it,
Mhm.
crying about shit, and getting fouled out and not being there for your team, and then going to the post-game conference and crying some more. So, for the sake of my bet that I made live on the podcast with Antoine before game one, where Kyrie Irving needs to score 30 points or more in multiple games. He did it last game. He had 35. I need him to do it tonight. And if not, just win the game so we can live to fight another night. That's it.
Let him get
That's,
one.
Don't let him get one. Nah,
don't
please.
let him
Please.
get one. Boston this evening in Dallas is a 1.5 favorite. Ticker up top, brought to you by ESPN Bet. This is not a paid sponsorship, but what up, y'all?
Hey,
Kev, too many points, -1.5 Boston.
Too many. Go look. Do yourself a favor. Go look at the alt lines. They'll pay you a little more. Look at what Boston minus like 8.5 is paying out.
Yo,
Uh,
fam.
yeah.
you know,
Nah, he ain't lying, bro. And it is the National Blood Association. So I
Mm.
wouldn't be surprised if they can cover that alt line if it is at 8.5. It's funny. I have a friend, and she's a Celtics fan. She's a little sick. She's getting over that thing that vid. You feel me? She's getting over that thing.
People still
And
get that?
yeah, I know. I was like, how lame? 2024. Who gets that? But
so far it isn't, bro.
Look at us,
like
look at us
that shit
sick
don't even
shaming over
that
here.
that shit don't even risk your life. But she's like, you think it's okay to go to the bar? Like, I'll go sit in the corner. I'm like, everybody's like, no, stay home. You're sick. I said, look, Celtics win tonight. Everybody gonna be sick regardless. You might as well go. You might as well go to that bar.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think that the NBA, and they called Scott Foster in, and I
Oh
just I
yeah,
The extender.
the extender. Right? I was like, what they call him?
Jit looked like an umpire in one of those highlight reels, just going the other way with it.
Scott, we had 4 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. We can't have 4 games in the finals. We need at least one more.
Yeah, I think this goes to game 5. I think Dallas has to steal one for the sake of just, I don't even know, for the sake of something, for the sake of the Mavericks. Maybe that kind of cool looking statue is outside of the American Airlines Center. I don't know. Do it for something. You know what I'm
Do
saying?
it for Mark Cuban.
Do it for Mark
Do it
Cuban.
for a Heat fan.
You
Fuck.
gotta get one. It starts with one. I, I hope. I don't know, but I'm hoping. But I'm hoping. But I'm hoping. In other news, June, I wanted to bring something that we talked about earlier. The Trevor Lawrence and the Tua comparison. Trevor Lawrence, 3 years in, has played 50 games. Tua, 4 years in, has played 53 games. Trevor Lawrence, over 50 games, 11,770 yards. Tua, with those extra 3 games, has an extra 1,131 at 12,639, averaging an extra yard per attempt. The numbers are comparable. I just remember a time where we thought Tua wasn't going to play football again. We were making fun of him. Tua turned the ball over on Christmas Day, and then Tua turned the ball over in the first round of the wild cards this year. I mean, Dolphins gonna have to really figure out how they're gonna want to reset this market because paying Tua $50 million at this point, I just think
EP is
isn't
not with it, bro.
a
He is
smart
not.
choice.
But you gotta understand, bro. Like, bro, quarterbacks are so few and far between, and you don't have the opportunity to have a guy that can lead the league in passing, who can really zip the ball, understand an offense. He's a smart guy at the end of the day. I understand he's undersized, he's left-handed, he's injury prone. That's You can't argue against that. That's there. But the Dolphins haven't had a quarterback like Tua Tagovailoa since Dan Marino, flat out.
Fair.
And if I'm wrong, call me out. But they haven't had somebody throw the ball across the field the way this guy is doing it. And whether you want to call it he has a great receiving core, oh well, his coach is a great run game coordinator, so he understands how to open up passing lanes. Whatever the fuck case it is, they got that right now. And why would you want to spoil that? Why would you want to say, nah, I'm good. We'll try to figure it out some other way. Bro, pay the fucking guy his money. Get it done. And if that backfires and that shoots you in the butt, that's the better bullet than the we didn't trust, we didn't want to pay, we ain't want to give it up. That's never gonna fly. So at least be willing to try with what you have, because bro, not having a quarterback in your franchise locker room and looking for one and trying to draft one or trying to trade, that's not the route you want to be in. And the Dolphins have gotten better year after year since drafting Tua Tagovailoa. And yes, they did lose in the playoffs in the first round against the Super Bowl champions in the coldest game since the fucking Ice Bowl. Like, there's context. There's context. The Dolphins also didn't perform their best against the better teams this year. And yeah, I'll give you that. But I think that goes down to more than just quarterback play. They also had the unfortunate injury situation toward the end of the year where guys was going down like flies. It's just a lot, man. Pay the guy what he's owed and let him try to take you as far as he can, because if not him, who?
Yeah, they also cashed my bet where they would lose 2 out of the last 3 games at the end of the season. Made some
I
money off them.
remember
Shout out to the Dolphins, man. Shout out to the Dolphins. Another news, Paulo Fonseca will be AC Milan's new manager, 3-year contract. He managed most recently last season Lille to a fourth place finish in League One. That's in France. He'll take over immediately an AC Milan team that finished second last year in Serie A, and fresh off a Champions League final loss, Borussia Dortmund does replace their manager Edin Terzic. He will be replaced by Nuri Sahin. 35-year-old has signed a 3-year contract. Whew. Terzic announced his resignation on Thursday. Now, the cool thing about this is that Sahin did play for Borussia Dortmund, 274 appearances for the teams across two, kind of tenures there, and was a part of a side that won the league title in Germany in 2011. Been playing since he was 16 years old, played for Real Madrid, Liverpool, Werder Bremen in Germany as well, before he retired in Turkey at Antalyaspor because he is a Turkish national. The Yankee Boston game is in the rain delay right now. I'm about to go get to that right now. Pack up. I'm headed to South Florida next week. Next week's episodes will be live from South Florida. As far as I'm concerned, Kev will be down there. June will be up top in New York. Gentlemen, you have any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Go Red Sox, and shout out to Miami Hurricanes wing Kaishan George. He's been invited to the draft room for the NBA draft. So to the green room to the NBA draft. So, always support a Kane.
Fire. Yeah, just shout out Broward County. You know, we're on the verge of our very first professional sports championship in the county. So, that's great times here. I mentioned, I think off air, the Cleveland Browns receiving core this year is all South Florida with Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Jerry Judy. So, Broward County. Shout out to Leather Crease Club,
Yes,
and
sir.
Yeah.
you know we move.
Go follow
Absolutely.
my boy Shot by Leather. Shot by Leather 2 on Instagram. He got hacked. He has 75,000 followers with a big thing going for him. It's still going, but we got to get them followers back. So shout out to my boy David doing this thing with the photography. And yeah, man, EP, we appreciate y'all.
Yeah, big facts. Yo, I didn't even know me and him went to the same high school. He's a couple years younger than me, but through the grapevine and through some mutual connections. Yo, you a paladin, so shout out to the purple and gold too. You heard? That's what's up. Yo, as we cross this hour, 60-minute, almost 61-minute mark, this has been your special edition Friday All Things Sports Talk Show, your number one sports talk show episode. If you tuned in live, thank you so much. I know we had close to 80 people on Twitter tapped in, a couple, good amount of people on YouTube tapped in on the YouTube live, Twitter live. If you're tuning in after the fact, we appreciate you taking time out of your beautiful day. Winners win and losers pay attention to winners. We out of here.